I'm so ticked off at Anthony Davis right now. It's an embarrassment.
And Anthony Davis's performance in this game was once again unacceptable.
The lost jumper is the difference. The reason Davis can't score like Jokic or Embiid every night. So if you want to point to the inconsistencies in terms of the scoring night to night, it's very simple. He's not a good jump shooter.
Listen, Anthony Davis, you got to play better.
Just 3 years ago, Anthony Davis and LeBron James won their first championship together as teammates in the year 2020, solidifying themselves as the best duo in the NBA and, at the time, the two greatest players in the association. The future is bright. 3 years and 58 days later, and they've done it again. Kind of. Champions of the inaugural in-season tournament. LeBron crowned the MVP, and Anthony Davis finally put everything together with a 40-20 5-4 performance. If you took a time machine from 2020 to the present day, you'd be given the impression that LeBron has taken a back seat and allowed AD to take control of the franchise, taking the mantle from LeBron and becoming the next face of the NBA. Well, you'd be dead wrong. LeBron has continued to play at the level that he was at 3 years ago, and Anthony Davis has taken a free fall from a top 2 player in the NBA to a borderline top 15 player in the league. A little edit here. The person who said that AD is top 15 is an idiot. AD is top 12 at the very least. He's still pretty good even though he can't shoot. Alright, back to the video. And the most inconsistent superstar that we've ever seen for a guy in the prime of his career. Oh my god, he's the best player in the world. Psych. AD is the second coming of Wilt Chamberlain. He's so... Nope, that's Anthony Bennett. One of the reasons that he's been so inconsistent isn't a secret. It's the injuries. Since the championship run in 2020, AD has played in 154 of a possible 259 games. In just over 3 seasons, he's played in just 59% of games. But this isn't some type of secret information. It's the only topic that comes up whenever there's a conversation around Anthony Davis, when in reality, there's a real reason as to why he's been struggling for so long. Something that nobody ever talks about is how Anthony Davis completely lost his shooting touch after the championship. He's suffering from inconsistencies because he lost such a big part of his game. What once made Anthony Davis a unicorn and a trailblazer for the new age big man is gone. A handful of years ago, there was a unanimous thought around the NBA. Anthony Davis will lead the league into an era of highly skilled big men who can do everything on the court. And that thought has become a reality. Nowadays, if you're a great big man, you're the hub of your team's offense. AD was the early prototype for new age power forwards and centers. Not only is he the best defender in the league who can guard 1 through 5 with ease, but he'll kill you on the offensive end with an array of jumpers, silky touch around the rim, and straight up disrespectful posters, dude. He was unguardable. He was becoming the game changer that we knew he could be, until he won the championship. The point in Anthony Davis's career where you can make the case that that was his peak, the absolute ceiling of what he could do on the court when he puts it all together. He was near perfect during the entire championship run. He increased his scoring, his efficiency from the field, from 3, and even gave LeBron competition for the Finals MVP. Something that you don't see too often. He reached the mountaintop. The absolute peak in basketball is capturing that elusive championship title. Some players reach the top of that mountain and they only want more. They become addicted to that winning feeling. Others become satisfied. They accomplished exactly what they set out to do, and they're content with their accomplishment. They got there with their current skill set, so why improve? That's where we question Anthony Davis. Does he have that dog in him, or is he satisfied? Because since winning the championship, AD hasn't gotten better or stayed at the same level. He's gotten worse. What made Anthony Davis so great on offense is that he was a mismatch for anyone on the floor. His jump shot opened his entire game up. Pump fake, drive and throw it down in the paint, or freeze the defender with a jab step and pull up. When his jumper isn't going down, he becomes a one-dimensional player, which is where he's at right now. So far this season, from a 5 to 9 foot distance from the basket, Anthony Davis makes his shots at a respectable 48.6% clip. That is the only good stat, brace yourselves. Further back at the 10 to 14 foot range, AD shoots 34% from the field, 5% worse than the Lakers' kryptonite Bruce Brown. Back up a bit more, and Davis makes 21% of his shots from 15 to 19 feet from the basket. Andrew Wiggins, who's having one of the worst shooting slumps of his entire career, still shoots 21% better than AD from that range. Now go all the way back to the 20 to 24 foot range, and he makes just over 12% of his shots from that distance. You know Chris Boucher? The same Chris Boucher whose jump shot looks like a catapult straight out of World War I? He shoots 15% better from that same distance. These shouldn't be the stats of a top 75 player of all time, but yet they are. And these bad shooting numbers aren't just a one-off either. They've been on a consistent decline since that championship season. From 2016 to 2020, AD was a steady shooter not only around the paint, but from distance too. He would knock down the long ball just shy of 33% of the time. His deep mid-range shots were falling at a near 37% rate, and his sweet spot just a few feet out from the paint was a go-to shot at 44% from the field. And in the paint, he's virtually unguardable, which is once again why when his jumper is falling, he is one of the best players on the planet. And it hasn't been the case since he was crowned champion in 2020. In the 4 seasons since the bubble, Anthony Davis has regressed from the 10 to 16 foot mark, from 16 feet to the 3-point line, as well as behind the arc, and not by slight margins either. These small changes in percentages account for hundreds and hundreds of shots that he once made with ease. AD's decline in shooting hasn't only been a burden on the Lakers, but seemingly a burden on himself, resulting in a lack of confidence. Because here are the percentages of field goal attempts from those same distances pre-championship and post-championship. There's been a clear drop-off in shot attempts from 3 and outside of the 16-foot range. What were once shots that Davis was comfortably and confidently taking have been replaced by shots closer to the rim, shown by the increase in shots in the paint and the 3 to 10 foot range. AD has clearly lost his shooting touch, and the numbers seem to tell us that he knows it too. What once made him one of the most uniquely gifted big men that we've ever seen has now diminished, leaving him as an incredibly skilled player with a lot more to offer. He's consistently shown flashes of the player he can be and the player he once was, but not enough to reestablish himself as a top 5 player in the NBA. A case can be made that his shooting has had such a drastic decline because of the injuries, but I'd completely disagree. We've seen it time and time again where a star player is consistently injured or misses a significant amount of time, and their shooting numbers stay steady. Kevin Durant suffered by far the worst injury a basketball player can have when he tore his Achilles in 2019. He missed an entire season and rehabbed what is essentially the foundation of his jump shot. The Achilles is part of the leg, and every shooter knows that a good jump shot starts in the legs all the way up to the release, which makes what KD has been able to do post-injury even more impressive, because he's gotten better. Joel Embiid has had stretches throughout his career where he couldn't stay healthy to save his life. Did his shooting numbers fluctuate? No. The greatest shooter of all time had to put up with numerous ankle injuries and surgeries. Did it affect his shot? No, it only got better. Kawhi Leonard went through a quad injury, a partially torn ACL, and a meniscus tear in the last 5 years. And no, his shooting has stayed the same, if not gotten better, which makes the case for Anthony Davis far more confusing. Did he get complacent after winning a championship? Or has a bad stretch of shooting snowballed into a lack of trust in his jump shot? Now, this hasn't turned into a Markelle Fultz or Ben Simmons situation where AD literally can't shoot the ball or just refuses to let it fly. As shown by the numbers, he has simply reduced the number of jumpers he was taking, substituting them for shots closer to the basket. But does it have the same impact? Are his shots worth more points today if he's passing up on contested jumpers for contested 3-foot shots at the rim? Would it not mean that his shots in the paint are worth much more today than they were a few seasons ago? I actually have no idea. So I found out. Expected shot value is a metric that measures how many points can be expected if a player were to take a shot from a certain area on the court. For example, Tyrese Halliburton has had an incredible start to the season, and he's been a flamethrower from deep. This season, Tyrese shoots the 3-ball at an absurd 44.1%. If we were to translate this into the expected value of a Halliburton 3, it would sit at 1.323 points. which means that for every single shot Tyrese attempts from deep, we can expect 1.3 points from it. It is one of the deadliest shots in the NBA right now. Now let's do this for Anthony Davis. During his championship season, AD's expected value from a three-pointer sits just shy of 1 point. A shot between 10 feet and the three-point line is just over 0.7 points, and any jumper or floater 3 to 10 feet from the basket held a value of 0.83 points. Being able to knock down his jumper with consistency made any Anthony Davis shot worth taking, and harder for defenders to guard, because any AD shot in the paint was worth over 1.5 points, making it a more valuable shot than a Halliburton 3 this season. In 2020, AD was able to use the threat of his jump shot to create opportunities for himself in the paint, resulting in easier scoring opportunities. But it isn't the case this season. This year, an Anthony Davis three-pointer is only worth 0.69 points. Nice. The value of a shot between the 10-foot mark and the three-point line has dropped 0.2 points. And a shot between 3 and 10 feet from the basket now holds a greater value at over 1 point, the second highest mark of his career. And this season, any shot by AD in the paint is worth 1.356 points, over 0.16 less than what it was 3 seasons ago. Anthony Davis is attempting shots in the paint more than he ever has in his career, but the value of that shot hasn't increased. I've mentioned this over and over again, but when AD has his jumper going, it opens up his game and allows him to get to wherever he wants on the court. That was the case 3 years ago. Players had to guard his jumper because it was a valuable shot, which opened up the paint for him and made it easier to score. That isn't the reality anymore. AD's jump shot doesn't hold the value that it used to, making it harder for the paint to open up when teams know that that's where he wants to be nowadays. Tougher shots in the paint, now making it less valuable. As mentioned earlier, he's become a one-dimensional offensive player. The odd game when he puts everything together stands as a reminder of the greatness that he has within him. Unfortunately, those performances have only gotten fewer and far between. What once made Anthony Davis a unicorn and the future face of the NBA has simply disappeared.